How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new round of locals feature matches. Here we are in round one. We got Burning Abyss versus what I believe is a Red Eyes deck, and I'm kind of changing the way I do this in terms of editing, as I'm doing the commentary first before I go and do the life points. That way I can kind of get a fresher look on the match, I guess. Obviously, I mean, the life points will still be edited, but it's just the order of operations. I'm guessing changes to kind of spice things up a little bit. We'll see how it goes. So, classic Seer Graph, obviously newly semi-limited. Very excited for that, obviously, as a BA connoisseur myself. A man of culture, obviously. I have been tweaking the BA build a little bit. I know a lot of people have been asking, obviously, with, Block Dragon obviously biting the dust. Can't play that version anymore. So going to a version that's probably similar to the one you're seeing here. This is my friend Dan playing this variant of BA. He was on the podcast about a week or so ago. Huge PK Fighter fan. I never really played PK Fighter. I played Burning Abyss right when it came out. And then I played some other variants of Big BA. And then BA with the Dark Law stuff. I never really actually played PKBA fully. So this would be my first time doing it. Obviously we got Bardiche back. He's a pretty cool boy to have back. With BA and everything. And obviously we got the new Phantom Knight support coming out in Phantom Rage. So very excited for that. Very excited to have a new fresh spin on the Burning Abyss deck, because it's been so samey for so many months. Really had no reason to change the block BA lineup just for so many months, just because it was good, and we didn't have any major ban list changes, obviously, for that first ban list, with the unlimits just happening, but now we actually have some reason for change. So there were some cards that I was running in BA, block BA, that I thought I might not want to run, a few of those being Gilasaurus and Sangan, but his build here actually does run the Gilasaurus, TGU for Sangan, and it just makes sense now. Yeah, why not still play that? I really do like the idea of that, still having that kind of turbo rank 3 aspect, and obviously, you get to slap a Dragoon on board. I've never personally done that, but I imagine the power trip that comes from slapping that stupid card on the field must be pretty good. So I probably will have to get my hands on a Dragoon. I don't want to be super anti-Dragoon, even though I hate the card. I don't know why it exists. But I'll probably have to put it in the deck soon, because I don't know there's much else the deck can do. I've had some other ideas for Burning Abyss, with playing Quick Launch and playing some Synchro stuff. I've done in the past. I've done some Synchro BA variants with Crusadia stuff. You guys might be familiar with those videos. It's probably mid 2019, early 2019 actually. I did some BA stuff like that before I went to Block Dragon BA, but I might try to have a mix of both of those. As you can see here, ending on the double Fog Blade with the Dragoon, in a loaded graveyard with a TGU in hand. So yeah, it's a pretty standard board. There really wasn't much to specifically commentate on there, but we do have a Red Eyes deck. Unbeknownst to me, when I selected the feature match, I knew my friend was playing BA, and I we'll get BA on the feature. But I had no idea he'd be facing off against a Red Eyes deck. So I'm not actually sure what this spell card is. Keep in mind when I do the commentary back on the editing software here, I have to watch it in 1/8 quality since this is in 4K. So I could not tell you what that card is right now. I apologize, but it looks like he's going to be sending a Red Eyes to the grave to pick up a new Red Eyes spell or trap. But he's still got to worry about double Dragoon or double Fogblade Dragoon with that tour guide follow-up for next turn, which could easily turn into a break sword with the Bardiche, which is 2 removals. Obviously, that is if the Bardiche sticks around. There are so many ideas on the table I have for Burning Abyss. I love the rank 3 engine. I love Xyz summoning. There's so many other things I want to do with the deck. I picture myself being able to put up boards with rank 3 interruptions, Bamboos and Gossip Shadow, maybe Totem Bird or things like that. Or ranking Dante's up into Pleiades is something I've tried in the past, playing more trap heavy, other than just Fogblade. But I realized, you know, one is more so combo, I guess. The other is more so control. I don't know. I'm usually a more combo-oriented guy, but I might kind of take this in more of a control route. But the trap there he's searching, I believe is Red Eyes Reborn, or something along the lines of that. I believe that actually just revives any Red Eyes monster from the graveyard, which is actually super relevant right now, considering your opponent gets rid of your Dragoon, and you're like, I want to see you do it again, just because you're going to bring him right back. That, you know, 3k, non-targetable, non-destructible, just beater of a monster. So he's going to set 2, which makes sense since we see a Danger Dogman being activated, which is actually somewhat relevant here because that effect does not target if the Dogman gets discarded here, which it does not. The Gemini Red Eyes monster will be discarded. But if I was to say the Dogman did get discarded here, he wouldn't get any effects off of it. It'd be considered technically a -1, but it would non-target drop Dragoons down to 2,000 attack points, which is pretty relevant because that makes that card much more manageable to deal with. If that card, I would say, had maybe like 2,500 attack, I would say it'd be a bit more fair, but it comes out at 3,000. Like, that is just absolutely ridiculous. I think Dogman has like 2,500 attack or something like that. I could be wrong. Or maybe 20. I don't think it has 28. But just a Danger Dogman on the field. I don't see it doing too much. He does have a Red Eyes in hand. And I'm unable to tell what the other monster is specifically. You know what, it's interesting, and also a Linkuriboh on board too. So he will go over the Bardiche, which is a pretty good thing to hit, because if you don't clear that, you know, next turn, it can just act as 2 potential spot removals, but we're going to see Fogblade on that attack declaration. So, of course, Fogblade will not only negate the monster, but make it so it cannot attack or be attacked. It's one of the things I hated most about Fogblade, is it's not really a Fiendish Chain, so much as it's like a Fiendish Chain and also like a negate attack built into the same card. I actually not remember if Fiendish Chain actually made it so it couldn't attack. I know it couldn't change battle position, but it's just such a frustrating card to deal with. So, as expected, Tour Guide comes down, summons out Calcab here, interestingly enough, which is great because it helped clear that back row. So, we're going to see the Break Sword get summoned, and that will trigger Bardiche, and he's going to hit that set card. It is that Red Eyes Reborn, which I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but forgive me for not knowing all the, like, every Red Eyes card in existence. So he's going to chain it. Dragoon will say no, discarding that cloak to the graveyard. And then we're going to see Break Sword activate here, detaching the Calcab. He's going to destroy the Dogman and let the Calcab do the rest of the work. Or destroy the Linkuriboh, rather. Yeah, and then we're going to see the Calcab spin that back to the hand. And Dragoon just says, you know what? Just because I feel like it, we're going to blast that Dogman off the field. And you're going to take an absurd amount of damage. And if proceeding into the battle phase here, that looks like it could be game, because that Dragoon is now at 4,000, I believe. Break Sword, I believe, at 23, and Bardiche at 21. Yeah, so that's definitely going to be game right there. And we're going to head into game 2. Yeah, I'm not super surprised there to see that that's the outcome. Yes, the Red Eyes strategy did get, you know, one of the best boss monsters in the game. To be able to just to add to its archetype, and, like, you know, Red Eyes isn't really truly a brick in that deck, I guess. I mean, arguably it could still be, but it enables some cool strategies. And then on top of that, you just get a card like Dragoon handed to you, which is why I would feel so bad if Dragoon ended up getting banned, because I think Verte Anaconda is so easily the solution. Because the only reason Anaconda or Dragoon is such a problem is because a lot of, I don't want to say like the best decks always abuse Dragoons, but like the tier below it are abusing it, and it just makes those decks so much more oppressive. And like every other deck under the sun that can put 2 monsters on the board can abuse it as well. But I think, like, if you just put like Dark Magician decks and Red Eyes decks being able, like, the only 2 decks that can like really functionally play it, I don't know, because it looks like here he has also opened the Red Eyes Fusion on his opening hand, which, you know, I actually had no idea this card was like literally a Shaddoll Fusion for just like Red Eyes monsters until like the other day. Not the other day, maybe the other week, but like that's just nuts that you can just fusion from deck with it. And it is interesting because I was also thinking like, oh, you could just have every deck play 3 Red Eyes Fusion, you know, if Anaconda bites the dust. But, you know, Red Eyes Fusion still says even if the turn you activate that card, you know, for the rest of the turn, you cannot normal summon or special summon other monsters. So I really think the best way to go about it is just by outright axing that Verte Anaconda. As much as I hate to say, for Predaplant players, like, it's just like, I don't know, maybe Predaplant will get some better cards in the future. But there it is, the classic Dragoon Pass, which you hate to see it, but also at the same time, it can literally be enough all on its own just because of how oppressive that card is, how powerful it is. It just does so many things. But either way, getting started with the Defrag Dragon, discarding that Silent Boots there to the graveyard. Oh yeah, one thing I was going to talk about earlier is, speaking about Red Eye stuff, is I used to actually, way back in the day, when I used to play Infernoids, and if anybody remembers my early Infernoid days, well, I wouldn't say early, I was like, when I was like really like, making moves with the deck and really was super in tune with it. The point where you get so in tune with the deck, you start like really trying to think outside the box. And one of the tech ideas I had, and it worked really, really well, and I wonder if it'd be still viable in an Infernoid deck today. Probably not. But I used to play the Blackstone of Legend and the Red Eyes like Summon Skull monster, because like they just worked so well in tandem with each other, and you could just summon it out as like a field nuke. And then I believe since it was treated as like a normal monster, it didn't count towards your levels for Infernoid. So I remember that being like a super cool tech that I came up with myself at the time, because I don't remember seeing it anywhere prior. And it was just like because I remember I had the cards and I was like, you know, these actually could be kind of decent Infernoid, but just a little bit interesting tidbit there. So we're just going to see the Nightmare Unicorn play, and it looks like he might be trying to force this Dragoon here. But the only unfortunate side effect is that he's already gone through so many cards here just to get to the Unicorn. The Defrag really not adding to the card advantage here. And there it is, saving best for last. The Tour Guide. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the turn to be over, but just doing everything in his power to bait that Dragoon, and the Nightmare Unicorn was enough. Maybe that back row is that red. I think it might be called Red Eyes Return, not Red Eyes Reborn. It'd be real funny here to see, though, he clears that Dragoon. And then it's just going to be like, okay, all right, do it again. So, yeah, here's that interaction, though, with Sangan and Gilasaurus. So, Sangan says you cannot activate the effects of the monster that you add with it for the rest of the turn, but Gilasaurus' summoning thing is not, like, it's not an effect. It's a condition just to summon it. But the negative effect of Gilasaurus will actually be negated. So your opponent won't actually get to reborn a card from their graveyard when you summon the Gilasaurus. And obviously it comes at the cost of playing the Sangan. But drawing Sangan isn't so bad because you can still always get it out of your hand with that of Tour Guide. And I find that while Fiendish Rhino Warrior is a decent card, I think you just get so much more value of going for the Sangan than you do for, you know, going for the Rhino. I mean, I think playing the one of Rhino Warrior is not so bad because it can be like a utility card where if you mill it, it can kind of turn into anything. Edgem Sabers, you know, it could turn into like a Skarm or a Farfa, whatever it may be, etc., etc. Like an alternate option to summon off Tour Guide if you need. And it can like start your turn too, so you can have like Rhino Warrior with any given BA to be able to help extend, and then it makes so they can't be destroyed by card effects and by battle, I believe, also. So Seer hits the field off the graph, and then the Gilasaurus hits the field here. And I believe, I'm going to go ahead and assume that there is a ruling question now. Yeah, as he shows the Sangan to the judge, I'm assuming, about whether or not he'd get to summon off of the Gilasaurus, and he would not be able to, because the effect, it's not an effect to summon, it is a summoning condition. That's just, I think that's just common knowledge, at least at this point, but a lot of people might not still like fully understand that aspect, because it is a little like, oh, hey, really, you can summon it still? You just kind of bypass Sangan? Yeah, it's pretty good interaction there, and I do like it quite a bit. So it looks like we're going to see an access code talker. And he is going to gain the attack of that Cherubini. Well, not the attack of the Cherubini. You know, its link rating times 1,000. So it'll go up to 4,300, which, of course, at this point is still enough to get over that Dragoon, even though it has negated a card. It is at 4,000. Access code is at 43, which is obviously bigger. And he cannot respond to that effect either. So if you wanted to try to negate it with something, would not have the opportunity to do so. Would need to activate something after resolution. And also has, importantly enough, a Nightmare Unicorn engraved as banish fodder for access code. Could potentially add Cherubini too, but going to use Seer to revive that. Well, actually, no, they're both dark monsters, so never mind. I thought it was a light monster for a moment. Yeah, so we're going to see, yeah, Cherubini's hitting the field, getting revived off of Seer. And to be totally honest, I know a lot of people are talking about the Seer and Graph going to 2, but I don't think, like, overall that, like, makes BA so much incredibly better. Maybe it just replaces 2 other level 3 extenders with, like, more true to the engine extenders, I guess. I'm gonna say I'm not opposed to having them. Yep, there it is. Red Eyes return. Dragoon's coming back. What did I say? So deal with it a second time. Gotta love it. But yeah, it definitely helps, but I don't think it's like getting like soul charge back for the deck in terms of its own play style. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if soul charge is a good example, but like it's good, but not like super entirely enough. So it looks like the Dragoon coming back will signal the end of game 2, and BA going to opt to surrender because that Dragoon's going to wreak havoc next turn. It's going to be able to clear both the Cherubini and the access code, and after exhausting all of his card advantage to get into that tour guide play, or all of his cards, you know, to get just the tour guide play to go off. But even granted, the tour guide did lead to like an access code with a Cherubini on field just by itself. So that is pretty nice. But we're going to see here again, opening here in game 3, the tour guide for Sangan, going for Gilasaurus. And adding that card, that free summon to the hand. And this is so good because it's going to help complete that rank 3 with that like no cost to the card advantage you currently hold in your hand. Because normally, let's say that was Rhino Warrior, what cards are you sending? You could send Libic possibly, but that means you need to have a BA in hand or a Dark Fiend monster, I believe. Or you're sending Edgem Sabers, which means you're going to need to lose a card out of your hand to stack, which isn't always bad. There is some synergy there because you might have, per se, a Garnet, in quotes, in your hand that you want to be able to freely send off of the Dante. Because if you are, you know, sending Edgem Sabers off of a Rhino Warrior through Tour Guide, you know, you're still getting, you know, Graph for Seer, and then you're using Edgem to stack, and then Dante can get a guaranteed mill. So I think in my build, I still might play an Edgem Sabers just for that specific utility, but then again, I don't know, I haven't really done much testing at all. So don't even bother telling me, oh, it's not good, or oh, it's so good, because like I just haven't formed my own opinions yet. So I've been doing a little too much of that Speedroid deck. I'm doing a lot of testing with that. But that build is pretty much like solid, I think, for the most part, besides a few things here and there. So we're going to see the one and only Bardiche Resolve here. It's so weird seeing this card legal again. It's one of those cards that I thought was going to stay locked up for a long time. But we're going to see it dump Boots to set Fogblade. And then we're going to see Boots, or dump the Cloak, rather, to set Fogblade. Cloak will be banished to activate its effect to add Boots. We're going to see Boots hit the field, and he's got another Gilasaurus in hand, I believe. And the nice thing, too, is, like, if you have multiple Gilasaurus, it really doesn't matter because, you know, you can just keep summoning them. There's no really limit on its effect. Actually, no, I think that is the same Gilasaurus he added. Regardless, though, such a fantastic extender for the deck. But it was only through the synergy, though, regardless, through Sangan, which makes it so good. And same thing can be applied to the Crusadia monsters, because I used to play Crusadia Leonis in Block Dragon BA strictly because it was a level 3 Earth extender. And it was the same thing if you already had like all your Gilosauruses in hand, or you've already milled them and you had a Sangan resolving late game or late turn, you know, you could search Leonis instead, and it's still the same thing. It's not an effect to summon it, it's just a condition summoning it to a Zoning Link monster points to. And then we're going to see here the finishing touch on the board, at least for the most part in terms of summoning anyways, is that so oppressive Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And then we'll see Boots get banished to go ahead and add that of a Fogblade, a second one. So the standard here of this deck seems to be, for at least for this particular build, I know someone's going to be like, oh, my build ends in 19 interruptions. What is this garbage? But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's still pretty good if you ask me. We actually have 3 set back row here. And I believe in the opening hand, we might have seen an Imperial Order, which obviously, I mean, most likely to be side decked in. And I think in this particular matchup, it's just justifiable enough because if you can shut down a Red Eyes fusion of their own, you know, that's pretty good. And speaking of Imperial Order, there it is. I actually particularly remember this part in real life because I had just like finished up my match in round 1 and came over here. And to see the order being flipped up in game 3 and that just outright being the end, all those cards in hand, still the double Fogblade, just a really solid, like, it's not a super flashy end board, but like it's pretty good. It's a pretty resilient board, and you kind of want to try and clear everything, or else it's just going to come back to haunt you, especially in terms of like the Phantom Knight stuff. You know, rank 3 access is so easy to go into like a Fogblade, or not a Fogblade, a Breaksword. Go into Bardiche, pop a couple cards, and just make more moves that way. And then the Dragoon is just there as an ever-oppressive force. But yeah, Burning Abyss taking the match 2-1 against Red Eyes, actually. The only reason there was a game 3 was because we had that Red Eyes return, bringing back Dragoon a second time. I just find that hilarious that the card actually just is so bonkers just because Dragoon is so bonkers. And yeah, you know, if you can deal with one, how about 2? Not usually, you know, not usually. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Don't forget to check out our sponsors at Imperium Duelist down in the description below. Use my affiliate link to TCG Player. Great ways to support the channel. As always, guys, when to kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members here on YouTube: Academic Thick, Travis Harris, Zors, and Cadillacs84. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, and thank you, of course, so much for supporting the channel.